Hi, everyone. The 6.5 is on the road. We are here at the IBM Analyst Forum 2024 in beautiful New York City. Excited to be here. A great couple of days talking about the company's vision, its investments, and the future of AI. And I'm excited to be able to sit down here with someone that's been on the show a few times before, bringing a lot of great insights. Rob Thomas, welcome back to the show. How are you, Rob?
Great to be here, Danner. Good to see you.
It is. Really appreciate your presentation. Enjoyed hearing from you. It's been a really interesting past 18 months. I can't believe how fast it's gone. Almost 2 years since really
amazing, right? A lot has happened.
The chat GPT thing came on the scene. But as we all know, you start off with something, I won't call it a parlor trick, but you start out with something like chat GPT that's maybe innovating on search and really consumer centric. And now you've got enterprises going, gosh, there's so much potential with Gen AI. Give me a little bit of a background now that you've had a couple years, you're processing it all, you're out talking to customers and building a multi-billion-dollar business. What does IBM see as the opportunity for IBM?
First of all, thank you for being here.
Gen AI.
Really great to host you here. This is our new flagship location in New York City at 1 Madison, so appreciate you being here.
Beautiful, by the way. Very, very impressive. And I've been to Astor Place and other places around. This place is very impressive.
We love it, and we kind of consolidate everything to one place, so you can hopefully
good
feel
location
the energy.
too.
Yeah, we love it. So thank you. This is an incredible moment around AI. As you said, on the one hand, it feels like it's been forever. On the other hand, it hasn't actually been that long. But in the 25 years I've been with IBM, I don't ever recall us building a $2 billion business in a period of 18 months, which is what we've done. So there is real client momentum to what is happening. I do think we've gotten to this point around where the discussion's all around value creation. People accept the technology. They accept that there's some exciting things here, but now it's how am I going to get value out of this? And I kind of look at it as we've gone through experimentation, and then you get into things like RAG and fine tuning, people start to get some value. But I would say just in the last maybe 3 to 6 months, we've hit a bit of a tipping point, which is where there is true ROI coming out of things like IT automation, applying generative AI to code, leveraging assistants, what's coming with agents. And the ROI is starting to happen, which is just going to propel the momentum from here.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting to watch, and I am feeling the pivot. Just in the beginning of the year, we did some intelligence research on the market, and companies were doing a lot of POCs, making big investments. I think there was like a 200% growth in companies making multi-million-dollar generative AI POCs this year, but there were a lot of concerns about capabilities and competence, and I think the industry's really come together, IBM being one of them, and saying, look, we're going to think about the technology, but we're also going to think about design, we're going to think about implementation, we're going to put all those pieces together, because enterprises, it's complex. It's not just search. It's not just language. It is really, it's data sovereignty. It's residency, compliance. And that's something IBM's done for a long time. You're working with enterprise, and I think with Gen AI, we hear a lot about the consumer part of it.
Yeah.
From the enterprise part of it, how do you capitalize on this opportunity?
Well, the heart of everything we're talking about is models. And as we kind of looked at the world, this goes back to 2019, our thesis was there's probably going to only be 5, maybe 10 companies in the world that will actually have the investment dollars and the wherewithal to build foundation models. We are one of those. And we're really excited with everything that we're announcing around Granite 3.0.
Yep.
We first brought out Granite at the start of last year. We're now on the 3rd iteration. And without having models that can drive inference and outcomes and do it at a low cost, we're not going to realize the value, back to my point on value creation. And so it's consistent iteration. In the last 6 months, we took everything we built in Granite, we put that into open source, all under Apache 2 license. And so now people are getting access to Granite without even maybe knowing about it. It ships on Dell servers, as an example. And so this is our differentiated play in the market that says the cost of this can actually be very low. It doesn't have to require massive compute capacity to do AI successfully. That's what we're doing.
Isn't it interesting how fast it's happened too? We went from an 8 billion parameter model being what was kind of originally looked at as like a frontier mega model.
Yeah.
And just 2 years later, this is what's kind of considered almost a smaller, very enterprise specific model. I mean, the outcomes, Rob, that you've been able to achieve, though, and I think one of the things the market probably doesn't fully appreciate and understand is what you said. Like, if I could double click, like IBM is one of the companies building models, and you're building it with enterprise in mind. And then you're helping customers. Because when you think about what IBM is doing, like, you're different, in my opinion. I'd like to get your take on this, because you actually build the whole tech horizontally, but then you actually spend time working with customers to make sure they can implement it for their business need, for their use case. Talk a little bit about that part of the business, because it's the tech needs implementation.
First of all, on the whole stack, to your point, you need to build models. You need a way to orchestrate and manage models. You need what we would describe as AI middleware on top of that. You need assistance, which is how do you actually put a model into a focused application. And so we have built that whole stack. I think what's unique about our approach, to your point, is we're only doing B2B. Our focus is how do we help other companies become more productive using AI. And I think this is where we have an advantage as a company, whether it's through partnerships we do with other SIs or with our own IBM consulting. We can take all of the theory and put it into practice. One of the examples I talked about this week was with Vodafone, which is we deployed a team of AI client engineers, and in 5 weeks, we took their productivity up 99% in terms of the outcomes that they were getting, looking at documents and then using that to solve customer problems. I don't think anybody believed 18 months to 2 years ago that you could get that kind of value in 5 weeks. But that is what's unique about this chapter in the history of AI, is you can get an ROI quickly.
I sat with Arvind in Davos last year, and we talked about this 4 trillion. I think you put a 4.4 trillion. The number's kind of slowly expanding, Rob. But I mean, you also mentioned something in your keynote that I think everyone out there would benefit from, and that's, you talked about customer zero. Mm-hmm. When you're a company like IBM, sometimes I think the proof is in the proverbial pudding. Is this technology going to run your business? And it sounds like that's a big part of your strategy too, is not only like Vodafone, great example, but how many parts of the IBM business could benefit from this? Talk about that customer zero strategy just a little bit.
I think there's 2 benefits here. We did make a decision that anything we build going forward, it will be implemented at IBM first. That is a great way we're a big company, so it's a great way to pressure test scalability, usability, you name it. And then after we do that, we will take it to market. And this is actually a big part of IBM's own value creation story in the last couple of years. We have taken out $2 billion of cost using AI. We're using AI to automate HR, automate procurement, automate supply chain, gets into things like sales productivity. But $2 billion hard savings, you can see it in our cash flow because of AI. I think it gives us a lot of credibility talking to clients and saying, we've been there and done that. By the way, some of them didn't go that well at first. We know why that is. We've been able to make adjustments as we go. But it's a big part of our own value creation story. But I think probably even more importantly, it makes our products ready for prime time when we go to clients now.
Yeah, so many of those use cases are pretty universal. HR and digital labor and automation use cases, any industry, any business.
Yes.
Conversation you and I like to have about that is, the horizontal versus vertical. And of course, that's really, really important. But you also, Rob, a year ago, I think I sat in one of your analyst days, and you were already putting some really compelling case studies. And I do think the consulting business and the opportunity they have to see, efficiency, I kind of call it prune to grow. Most of the AI we're seeing is companies are finding efficiency first, and then they're rocket fueling productivity on the back end. It's kind of a step function. Sounds like that's what you're getting out of the consulting business. Now, I want to turn a little bit to your announcements. You kind of teased them a little bit earlier on, but you've got some really exciting things you announced here. I'm glad to be able to break it here on the 6.5. But talk a little bit about what you're announcing from an AI standpoint here at the Analyst Forum.
Number 1 is Granite 3.0 version. This takes everything that we put into open source before. Our performance metrics are now off the charts. We're beating Mistral in public benchmarks. We're beating Llama. Look, these things move up and down, but my point is it's a proof point that with smaller models, 2 billion and 8 billion parameter, we can perform like 100 billion parameters. That's a big leapfrog that we've done. A lot of this is based on our own invention. Things like Instruct Lab, which is something that we open sourced, which is all about taking enterprise data and creating model productivity, model improvements. So Granite 3.0 is the headline. But by having a 3.0 version of Granite, it then flows into everything else. watsonx Assistant is now better. watsonx Orchestrate is now better. What we're doing around Concert, around resiliency, bringing AI to IT resiliency so you can avoid outages, cyber attacks, you name it. So it informs everything that we're doing in terms of assistance. Yeah. And this lays the groundwork for what's coming in agents. We are quickly moving from single tasks performed in an assistant to multitask reasoning with agents. That's up next.
By the way, one of the better explanations, because I think a lot of people are sort of conflating, assistant agent or automation agent. And of course, that's the battle scars of RPA, right? Because yes. Now we're finally got something useful. I mean, to be clear, it was always so rigid and so hard. Automation had a place, but you're seeing now when you can constantly tune, learn, add AI to those processes, and then of course you can build a whole company, Rob. I mean, I'd love for you to just kind of give me your purview on this, but you can build a whole support cast for any role, any function, any BU with agents moving forward, and you're quickly going in that direction.
And the distinction, another way to say it is process versus outcomes. With assistants, we basically codify the process.
Yep.
We say, this is the process for customer service. Here's Granite and how it informs that. It's laid out. With agents, it's just about the outcome. I want to improve my retention by 10 points. It's the agent's job to figure out how to do that. That's why I think this is incredibly exciting. I also think it's more complicated. It will take some time because there will be a lot of iteration here. But being able to dictate an outcome and have something reason through the steps to get to that outcome, I mean, this is what the world of B2B software has been looking for forever. And I do think it will be very impactful.
Yeah, I definitely believe enterprise software, there is a coming of age that's about to happen where a lot of the systems that have historically been used are going to become a bit of a database, and we're going to start to see an abstraction like what you've built with Granite and different tools where people want to talk to one thing, one abstraction, one pane of glass, and then they want it to go find across all your different databases. Of course, you got your traditional, and then you got all vector now, all your unstructured. They want to come back with an answer. They say, hey, look, I want to understand attrition risks over the next 2 quarters.
Right.
And you want to go out and find that and bring it back to you. You don't want to say, okay, I got to go into this CRM, this ERP, and I want to go into this. And that's pretty exciting. I mean, how fast do you see this all coming to fruition? Because I think I saw your curve. It seems you guys have a good handle on the timeline. For everyone out there, like how fast do you see this materializing in the enterprise?
I think there's different levels of sophistication. What is very accessible now, and I think it solves every CIO and CTO's challenge, is you can build an AI interface to your applications. Recently, we've changed the HR system in IBM.
Interesting.
Before we did that, we had built an AI interface on top. So not a single user in IBM knows that we changed the backend because their interaction is still with the AI interface. So that is an example of, I'd say, this power of an AI layer on top of your technology. That's one step. Getting to agents, I think this is, we'll probably have some interesting things next year, and then that will build beyond that. But there are things that are accessible today that enough companies are not taking care of or taking advantage of. And this opportunity of having an AI interface, digital labor use case that we talked about, automating repetitive tasks, there's huge ROI in this.
So as a quick recap, a lot going on here. Big announcements this week. 3.0 Granite, very exciting. Our perspective, looking at the overall competitiveness, Rob, is you have a really solid product. I could call it a solid foundation to build on. And you're right, benchmarks change. In 3 months, someone's going to come out with something, and then you're going to come out with 4, and it's going to change the game. But IBM shows a lot of wherewithal in terms of the whole solution, and very impressive what you've done with Granite. Congratulations on all this success, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here and all you do.
All right. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the 6-5. We are on the road here at the IBM Analyst Forum 2024 in New York City. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Subscribe. Be part of our community. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.